Hey guys, Eckhart's Ladder here with some Star Wars discussion, and unlike last episode where we talked about Jar Jar Binks, today we're talking about one of my favorite things in the Star Wars universe, Super Star Destroyers. Specifically, we're going to be talking about Super Star Destroyers in the new Disney canon, how many the Empire built, how many were left after Return of the Jedi, and whether the First Order might have access to any still surviving dreadnoughts. We learn in Aftermath Life Debt, which, as we covered in the last video, is a book set between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens, that the Empire originally built 13 Super Star Destroyers. However, it is worth note that the book specifically recognizes that this is just an estimate by the Rebel Alliance. There could be a couple more Star Destroyers hidden out somewhere, we don't know at this point. Still, even if just an estimate, I think it'd be interesting to look at these 13 Super Star Destroyers and see whether there are any left over. The first Super Star Destroyer that we can account for is the Executor, Darth Vader's personal flagship. We see it first in Empire Strikes Back and is later destroyed in the Battle of Endor when it crashes into the Death Star. After Endor, the newly formed New Republic destroyed 5 further ships, which leaves a total of 7 dreadnoughts. 3 Super Star Destroyers were also captured by the New Republic, and we don't really know what's going on with them at the moment. There was also the Annihilator, which was captured by a gang of pirates, and the Arbitrator, which was sucked into a planet's gravity well. This leaves us with only 2 Super Star Destroyers remaining. One of these 2 remaining ships is the Ravager, which, although you might not realize, you're probably familiar with. The Ravager was the flagship for Grand Admiral Rey Sloane until it was destroyed at the Battle of Jakku. You can actually see the Ravager's destruction in Star Wars Battlefront when playing on the Jakku level, and in Episode 7, Rey and Finn actually fly through the remains of the ship in the Millennium Falcon. This final ship is probably the most interesting one. It's called the Eclipse, and it was the personal flagship of Emperor Palpatine. The Eclipse wasn't destroyed, but rather disappeared. One of the most interesting things about the Eclipse, at least from my perspective, is that it shares its name with an old class of Super Star Destroyer from the expanded universe. Basically, there used to be several classes of Super Star Destroyer, whether it was the standard Executor class, the Sovereign class, or the Eclipse class. The Eclipse class was a larger version of the Super Star Destroyer, and it had basically a small version of the Death Star laser attached to the front of it. It was really the most powerful weapon in the Imperial fleet, and kind of like the Eclipse in current canon, it served as the flagship for Emperor Palpatine, although the Eclipse in old canon served as the flagship for his clone after Palpatine's death, but let's not get into that too much today. We don't know whether the Eclipse in the new canon is a separate class from the normal Executor Super Star Destroyer. So far, the books have only referred to it as a Star Dreadnought or as a Super Star Destroyer Dreadnought, but that's how they refer to all of the Super Star Destroyers. Thanks to the leak of Empire's End this week, we actually did learn a bit more about Eclipse. Specifically, we learned that it's stationed out in the unknown regions, not missing. No one lost it in their couch cushions or anything, but it's stationed in the unknown region, and Imperial officers have now been sent to look for it. This is fascinating to me, mostly because we know that the Eclipse is the last Super Star Destroyer that the Imperials could have gotten their hands on. We also know, just based on its name, that it could be different from the normal Executor Super Star Destroyers. And not only its name, but this was also Emperor Palpatine's personal flagship. And I think the implication is kind of obvious. This could be Snoke's ship. Snoke could be on the Eclipse now. Throughout The Force Awakens, he's never there in person. He never meets Kylo Ren in person, and he's clearly not on Starkiller Base, so he must be somewhere else that's heavily fortified. What other place makes sense other than a Super Star Destroyer? If that is true, though, I hope they remove the mini Death Star laser on the front of the ship, just because we've had 3 Death Stars now, basically. I don't think we need 3.5. Anyways, guys, just to summarize briefly, the Empire originally built 13 Super Star Destroyers. Most of them were destroyed, but notably, the Eclipse Super Star Destroyer still remains, at least in the point of Empire's End. Now, we don't know whether this is a standard Executor class dreadnought or whether this is something different, something closer to the Eclipse class from the old canon. However, what we do know is that the book Empire's End focuses pretty heavily on the Eclipse, so don't be surprised if it appears at some point in the future. Anyways, I hope you guys found this video interesting. Keep in mind that what I've said today applies only to the new canon, so basically anything since Disney bought Lucasfilm. The old canon was a little wacky with their treatment of Super Star Destroyers and basically spaceships in general, so we're not going to talk about that today. If you guys liked the video, please give it a like, and if you got this far, comment down below on what ship from the Star Wars universe is your favorite. Also, subscribe for more Star Wars videos. I'm going to try to put out 1 or 2 a week. This has been Eckhart's Ladder. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll talk to you soon.